limit of the function. Limit of the function. So நம்ம already the limit of the sequence பார்த்திருக்கோம். So what do you mean the limit of the sequence? For the some sequence of real number. So for epsilon, given epsilon greater than 0, there exists the some stage. After the stage, the sequence and the limit value difference is always less than epsilon. Okay, the sequence value and the limit value very close to each other after the some stage capital N. Then the xn has the limit a. இங்கே a-ன்றது வச்சிருக்கோம் the limit-ன்றது. So this is the limit of the sequence definition. The limit process is conveys the idea of that. The limit of the sequence அப்படினா என்னன்னா, intuitive idea that xn can be made arbitrarily close to a provided that n is sufficiently large. So limit of the function என்ன அப்படினு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, that is some function f of x, limit x tends to p, f of x equal to a, and which means that for every epsilon greater than 0 there exists some delta greater than 0 such that the difference of the f of x and a should be less than epsilon. Whenever x and p very close to each other, that is mod of x minus p less than delta, 0 less than x, 0 less than mod of x minus p less than delta na இப்படி இருக்கும்போது there exists the epsilon for f of x minus a less than epsilon. So that means f of x very close to a and x is very close to p. Whenever x is very close to p, the f of x very close to a. So for the given epsilon, there exists the delta. Okay, for the given epsilon, there exists the some delta. Then the f of x is limit a when x is tends to x is approaches to p. And convergent sequence ன்றது என்ன அப்படினு பாத்தீங்கன்னா, that is already நம்ம sequenceல பார்த்திருக்கோம் convergence-ன்றது. The sequence is converges now, that means the limit is exist இல்லையா, limit exist ஆகணும், then that is called the convergent. Once again the same sequence க்கு தான் எல்லாமே complete. So metric space S comma D is said to be complete now, that is every cos sequence in S is converges in S. It's called the complete if every cos sequence in S converges in S. The subset T of S is called the complete now, that is the metric space T comma D is complete. So for example பார்த்தீங்கன்னா Euclidean space r power k என்றது is complete. In particular r power 1 is complete, the space t equal to 0, 1 is not complete, the subspace. Every compact subset complete கிடையாத syllabus, so every compact subset t is complete. இது எல்லாமே about the sequence. So I will skip it. These are some sequences. So z power n converges to 0 mod z less than 1, and z power n diverges if mod z greater than 1. That is, z power n is converges to 0, then the Cn is bounded, then Cn z power n, Cn zn is converges to 0. Z power n divided by n factorial converges to 0 for every complex z. An equal to root of n square plus 2 minus n, then An is converges to 0. So the mod z less than 1, first of all in the case mod z less than 1, mod z equal to r that is less than 1. Mod z power n என்றது r power n is converges to 0 in the case of r is less than 1 as n tends infinity, so that z power n converges to 0. In the case of mod z greater than 1, mod z power n approaches to infinity, that is z power n diverges. Cn is bounded enough, there exists some positive real number, mod of Cn should be less than or equal to m for all n. For the epsilon greater than 0, Zn is converges to 0, that means after the stage of, there exists some stage capital N, and after the stage of the capital N, the mod of z power n minus 0 less than epsilon, இங்கே epsilon by m எடுக்கிறோம். So Cn Zn நீங்கள் closeness எடுத்தீங்கன்னா, that is the imminent mod of Zn வரும், that is less than epsilon by, இதுக்கு அதனால தான் epsilon by m எடுக்குது, epsilon by m into m னா, that is called the epsilon. So after the stage Cn Zn is also converges to 0. இந்த மாடல் நாம் ஆல்ரெடி டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கிறோம், தட் இஸ் கான்ஜுகேட் எடுத்துட்டு அண்ட் தென் ப்ரொசீட் பண்ணணும், லிமிட் எடுக்கணும். இங்கே an plus 2 equal to an plus 1 plus an divided by 2 for all n greater than equal to 1. So then an is approaches to a1 plus 2a2 divided by 3. an plus 2 equal to something இருந்ததுன்னா, what is the convergence of the an? So an plus 2 minus an plus 1, so that is equivalent to 1 by 2 an minus an plus 1. Actually என்ன பண்ணிருக்கும், இங்கே an plus 2 இருக்கு, so an plus 1 divided by 2 plus an by 2. So an plus 1 by 2 plus an plus by 2 minus an plus by 2 na, that is the ரெண்டுத்தையும் ஆட் பண்ணிங்க, that is called that ரெண்டுக்கும் an plus 1 சப்ராக்ட் பண்ணுறோம், சப்ராக்ட் பண்ணிங்கன்னா we get this one. So dn equal to the something an plus 1 minus an வச்சா, So this is called the dn. So the left hand side is called the dn plus 1. So dn plus 1 equal to minus 1 by 2 dn. Dn plus 1 equal to minus 1 by 2 dn. In this case, dn equal to minus 1 by 2 whole power n minus 1 into d1 எடுக்கலாம். So dn plus 1 equal to minus 1 by 2 dn, that is d1, d2, d3 எல்லாத்தையும் in terms of d1 express பண்ணும்போது dn என்றது this is nothing but. So an equal to a1 plus summation k equal to n to n minus 1 dk. So இந்த dk என்றது using இதை யூஸ் பண்ணிங்கன்னா minus 1 by 2 whole power k minus 1 d1. So as n tends infinity என்ன ஆகும்னா this is a geometry series. So that is converges to 2 by 3. There 1 minus 1 by 1 minus 1 by 1 minus 1 by 1 minus 1 by 2. So that is 2 by 3 nu vandirum. So a1 plus 2 by 3 d1. That is a limit n tends infinity an என்றது a1 plus 2 by 3 d1 வருது. d1 is nothing but a2 minus a1. இதை சிம்பிளி பண்ணிங்கன்னா இந்த லிமிட். ஓகே, இன் கேஸ் ஆஃப் வெரி காம்ப்ளிகேட்டடாக லிமிட்லேருந்து கேட்கும்போது லைக் திஸ் இந்த மாதிரி ப்ராப்ளம் கேட்பாங்க. அண்ட் x1 என்றது இஸ் லைஸ் பிட்வீன் த 0 to 1னா xn plus 1 equal to 1 minus root of 1 minus xn. So n greater than equal to 1. Prove that xn is a decreasing sequence. Okay, xn is a decreasing sequence with the limit is 0, and that is xn plus 1 by xn is converges to 1 by 2. இங்கே xn plus 1 equal to something கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. So when you take the conjugate நீங்கள் எடுத்தீங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு xn by root of 1 plus root of 1 minus xn வரும். அது 1 plus root of 1 minus xn மல்டிப்ளை பண்ணி டிவைட் பண்ணிங்கன்னா, ஸோ xn என்றது இங்கே 0 to 1 கொடுத்துருக்காங்க இல்லையா. x1 is lies between the 0 to 1, and for all n greater than equal to 1 this is xn plus 1 equal to something. So since xn is the 0 to 1 என்றதுனால, that is root of 1 minus xn என்றது is lies between 0 to 1. Root of 1 minus xn என்றது so 0 to 1. So 1 plus root of 1 minus xn is positive, greater than 0 and less than 1. So xn plus 1 equal to xn by 1 plus root of 1 minus xn should be less than xn because of this is less than 1 என்றதுனால. So xn is the xn plus 1 is less than xn வந்துருச்சு. அப்படின்னா xn is the decreasing sequence. xn plus 1 is always less than xn என்றதுனால, that is bounded below to 0. So it is converges to some limit. Okay, bounded below இருக்கு, decreasing sequence. So it has the some limit. The limit is called the L ன்னு வச்சுட்டிங்கன்னா L equal to xn converges to L ன்னு அர்த்தம். L equal to something போட்டு எல்லாத்தையும் ஒரே சைடு கொண்டு வந்துட்டு, that is the root of 1 minus L இந்த சைடு கொண்டு வந்துட்டு சிம்பிளி பண்ணிங்கன்னா, ஸ்கொயரிங் ஆன் போத் சைட் பண்ணிவிட்டு சிம்பிளி பண்ணும்போது Lக்கு 2 வேல்யூ வருது. லிமிட் cannot be 2 வேல்யூ, that is only 1 வேல்யூ. So xn less than 1 என்றதுனால L should be equal to 0. So the limit is equal to 0. So xn plus 1 divided by xn என்றது என்ன வரும் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, that is 1 by 1 plus root of 1 minus xn. அந்த இங்கே இருந்த xn தான் இங்கே கொண்டு போயிட்டோம். ஸோ தட் இஸ் கன்வர்ஜஸ் டு என்ன ஆகும் அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, தட் இஸ் கன்வர்ஜஸ் டு 0 இது xன்றது. ஸோ 1 by 1 plus 1 that is equal to 2. So very interesting problem. Okay. So the two sequences are an and bn are defined recursively by taking a1 equal to b1 equal to 1 and equating rational and irrational parts, that is an plus bn root 2 equal to an minus 1 plus bn minus 1 root 2 whole square for n greater than equal to 2. So ரெண்டு sequence an and bn றது, and a1 equal to b1 equal to 1, that is equating rational and irrational parts in the equation something கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. Prove that இதை prove பண்ணணும். an square minus 2bn square equal to 1 for n greater than equal to 2, and an by bn approaches to 2 through the values greater than root 2 and 2bn divided by an is approaches to 2 through the value is less than root 2. Okay, for n equal to 2 பார்த்தீங்கன்னா that is 1 plus n equal to 2 போட்டிங்கன்னா that is 1 plus root 2 whole square. Actually இங்கே என்ன வரும் a1 வரும் b1 வரும் both are equal to 1. இங்கே a2 வரும். Okay, a2 plus b2 root 2. So what is the value of the a2 and the b2? So that 1 plus root 2 whole square explain பண்ணீங்கன்னா that is this is the idea. So an plus bn root 2 equal to something. So a2 plus b2 root 2 ன்றது is equivalent to a1 plus b1 root 2 whole square. a1 plus b1 value நமக்கு தெரியும். இதை எக்ஸ்பிரஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இந்த ஃபார்மில் நீங்கள் எக்ஸ்பிரஸ் பண்ணிங்கன்னா we get the a2 and b2. So இதை a plus b whole square ஃபார்முலா எக்ஸ்பிரஸ் பண்ணிங்கன்னா 3 plus 2 root 2. ஸோ அதிலேருந்து a2 b2ன்றது என்னென்னு ஃபைண்ட் அவுட் பண்ணலாம். So a2 equal to 3 and b2 equal to 2 here. So இதை எடுத்து சப்ஸ்டிட் பண்ணிங்கன்னா that is the an square minus 2bn square நமக்கு வேணும் இல்லையா. So இங்கே a2 square minus 2b2 square that is 9 minus 8 that is equal to 1. So இதே மாதிரி assume that an minus 1 whole square and minus 2bn minus 1 whole square equal to 1. So for proving this one, so an plus bn root 2 equal to an minus 1 plus bn minus 1 whole square. So when you expand a plus b whole square formula like this, இது மாதிரி கிடைக்கும் நமக்கு. இதனுடைய வேல்யூ நமக்கு என்னன்றது தெரியாது. There is an minus 1 whole square minus 2bn minus equal to 1 ன்னு தெரியும். So that an equal to an minus 1 whole square plus 2bn minus 1 whole square. இதில் bn equal to 2 into an minus 1 into bn minus 1. So நமக்கு தேவை இதுதான். So இது வேணும்னா this is a square minus b square, actually structure like that. இங்கே 2 தான் இருக்கு. So an minus 1 whole square plus 2bn minus 1 whole square minus 2 into the something எழுதலாம். இது மாதிரி இந்த ஸ்கொயர். ஸோ இதே எக்ஸ்பிரஸ் பண்ணிங்கன்னா ஸோ தென் an minus 1 whole power 4 a plus b whole square இங்கே ஒரு ஸ்கொயர் பண்ணுறோம். இதை சிம்பிளி பண்ணும் பட்சத்தில் an minus 1 whole power 4 like that. ஸோ இதை என்ன பண்ணலான்னா an minus 1 whole square minus 2bn minus 1 whole square எழுதலாம். So then we get it, the value for this one is, okay, what is the value for this one? This is the 1. So 1 square, that is equal to 1. So the value of this one equal to 1. Okay. So the same way, this is the an by bn whole square, that is equal to 2 plus 1 by bn square. 2 by 1 by bn square, that is bn ஆல் டிவைட் பண்ணுறோம்னு நினச்சிங்க. that is bn ஆல் டிவைட் பண்ணிங்கன்னா that is என்ன வரும் an by bn an square by bn square minus 2 1 by bn square 1 by bn square, the 2 அந்த சைடு கொண்டு போயிட்டிங்கன்னா this is the result. This is obviously greater than 2. So அப்படின்னா an by bn whole square greater than 2, that is an by bn equal to greater than root 2. So an by bn minus root 2 is equivalent to 1 by bn into an by bn plus root 2, that is approaches to 0. Okay, as bn approaches to infinity, so then bn is approaches to infinity, this is approaches to 0. So 2bn by an equal to the something that is less than root 2. Okay, இதே மாதிரி 2bn by root 2ன்றது is less than root 2 prove பண்ணலாம். Really கொஞ்சம் டிஃபிகல்ட்டான ப்ராப்ளம்ஸ் இது. ஸோ இங்கே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா 7xn plus 1 equal to x1 cube plus 6 for n greater than equal to 1. x1 equal to root 2, x1 equal to 1 by 2. The sequence is increasing and the limit, what is the limit? what happens if x1 equal to 3 by 2, if x1 equal to 5 by 2. So இங்கே f of x பார்த்தீங்கன்னா that is a what is this function, that is x cube plus 6 divided by 7. Okay, like that. This is the consider as the function. So f of x equal to x cube plus 6 divided by 7. So what are the points, that is the fixed point பார்த்தீங்கன்னா that is f of x equal to x ன்னு போட்டிங்கன்னா we get the some fixed point. f of x equal to x னா cross multiply பண்ணி simply பண்ணிங்கன்னா that is called 7x plus 6. 7x equal to x cube plus 6 னு வரும். So x cube minus 7x plus 6 equal to 0. இதை factorize பண்ணிங்கன்னா then x minus 1, x minus 2 and x plus 3 equal to 0. Actually 1 is the root னு வந்துரும். x cube minus 7x plus 6 equal to 0 ல 1 is the one of the root. One is the one of the root. So ஏன்னா sum of the coefficient 0ன்றதுனால 1 minus 7 plus 6 equal to 0ன்றதுனால that is 1 is the one of the root. So x minus 1 is the factor. So x minus 1 என்ற factor இதிலிருந்து reduce பண்ண பிறகு quadratic equation வரும். அதை factorize பண்ணிங்கன்னா இது மாதிரி வரும். So we get the root 1, 2, minus 3. So if you take for x1 equal to 1 by 2, if x1 equal to 1 by 2, x2 equal to what is that? x1 equal to 1 by 2 na x2 என்ன வரும்? So இங்கே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா x2 equal to that is x1 cube. What is the x2? That is x1 cube plus 6 divided by 7. So when you substitute here, that is 49 by 56, that is 7 by 8 greater than 1 by 2. This is greater than 1 by 2. So from this xn greater than xn minus 1, so this is the increasing sequence. Okay, so xn plus 1 minus xn plus 1 minus xn equal to, that is called xn cube minus xn. இதை LCM எடுத்து சிம்பிளி பண்ணிங்கன்னா இதை ஃபேக்டரைஸ் பண்ணிங்கன்னா divided by 7. So this is greater than 0. This is greater than 0. So xn plus 1 minus xn is greater than 0. No? This is the since because of all factors are negative, so therefore the sequence is increasing sequence. Sequence increases and it's bound by 1. So that is the idea. So when you take x1 equal to 3 by 2, this is the x2 equal to something கண்டுபிடிக்கலாம். Okay, 75 by 56. So that is decreases to 1, sequences decreases. x1 equal to 5 by 2 na என்ன ஆகுதுன்றது the value, that is the sequences increases to infinity. That is, and mod of an is less than 2 and mod of an plus 2 minus an plus 1 என்றது less than 11 by 8 an plus 1 whole square minus an square. So like that இது மாதிரி sequence கொடுத்துட்டு and prove that the an, what about the nature of the an is converges or something. So an plus 2 minus an plus 1 11 by 8 something இருக்கு. இதில் a square minus b square formula apply பண்ணால் ரெண்டு டேர்மாக ஸ்ப்ளிட் பண்ணலாம். இதில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா இந்த an plus 1 minus an என்றது that is 4, that is an plus 1 plus a என்றது that is 4, that is mod of a என்றது less than 2 என்றதுனால இதுவும் less than 2, இதுவும் less than 2, triangle inequality apply பண்ணிங்கன்னா that is equal to 4. So 11 by 2 into mod of an plus 1 minus an. So this doesn't give the contradiction. So mod of an less than 2 என்றதுனால so என்ன பண்ணலாம், an plus 2 minus an plus 1, correct? I will try to prove the an is the convergent sequence. Sequence of Lipschitz condition. Okay, sequence is Lipschitz, but with the constant is greater than 1. The constant is not less than 1, the greater than 1. So therefore necessarily contradicting the problem additional condition is a different approach. Okay, the path solver, that is additional. And metric space S comma D, xn is approaches to x, yn is approaches to y, then d of xn comma yn is approaches to d of x comma y. That is using the difference of d of xn comma yn minus d of x comma y, using the triangle inequality. Then we get a d of xn, this is d of xn comma yn, இதை subtract பண்ணி இதை add பண்ணிருக்கோம். So d of yn comma y, this is plus d of xn comma x, this is d of xn comma x, this is d of yn comma y, by the triangle inequality, that is xn approaches to x, yn is approaches to y. So both terms are converges to 0. Both terms on the right hand side is converges to 0. So d of x and y interval is converges to d of x comma y. So this is approaches to 0, this is approaches to 0. The compact metric space S comma D, every sequence in S as a subsequence which is converges in S. And so it is the limit of the function. Suppose so P is an accumulation point of A, then B is belongs to T. So limit extends to P f of x equal to B. That means for the epsilon greater than 0, there exists some stage, that is the delta greater than 0. When you use that metric space concept, that dt of f of x comma b, okay, the distance of f of x comma b is less than epsilon whenever the distance of x comma p is less than delta. Okay, so the metric space on the different are depend பண்ணும்போது, that is with respect to s, this is with respect to t. Whenever x belongs to a, x is not equal to p. This is true now. The limit of the function is b as x is approaches to p. Okay. The same definition in terms of open ball, n ball, that is the limit holds if and only if limit extends to p. So the limit extends to p f of x equal to some limit. Yeah, okay, well, this is a limit is hold if and only if for every ball the function from s to t. Okay, so for every ball bt of b, there is a ball bsp such that bsp intersection a is not empty. Okay, such that the f of x belongs to bt of b whenever x is belongs to bs of b. This is nothing but the ball on the metric space S, the center p, some radius, intersection a vla x and x is not equal to p. This is the depend on the ball use panni how to define the function is as a limit. Then I assume that p is an accumulation point of a, assume b is belongs to t, then limit of f of x equal to b, limit of the function f of x equal to b, if and only if limit of the function f of xn, okay, for every sequence xn of the points a minus p which converges to p, the sequence is converges to p. So the limit n tends to infinity f of xn equal to b. Okay, that is also very important. And f be defined on an open interval a comma b, and assume that x belongs to a comma b, then the limit h tends 0 f of x plus h minus f of x equal to 0. So limit h tends 0 mod of f of x plus h minus f of x minus h equal to 0. Okay, so these are the two statements. F of x plus h minus f of x equal to 0 as h tends 0, and mod of f of x plus h minus f of x minus h, the difference is 0 as h tends 0. So then a implies b, and given an example in which b holds but a doesn't hold. So இங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா f என்றது defined on the open interval a comma b. Okay, that is the idea. So a implies b na, a true na, that is f is continuous at x in artham. That's the definition. Okay, and limit then for any epsilon greater than 0 there exists delta greater than 0 such that mod h less than delta, if whenever then mod of f of x plus h minus f of x into the less than epsilon by 2. This is the definition. Okay, limit exists and the limit value equal to function value varna, that is called the function is continuous at the point x. So this is a f of x plus h minus f of x less than epsilon. Epsilon பதிலா epsilon by 2 னு வச்சிருக்கோம். நாம இது ட்ரூவா அப்படினு செக் பண்ணீங்கன்னா f of x plus h minus f of x minus h, இதெல்லாம் என்ன பண்ணலாம், f of x சப்ராக்ட் பண்ணி f of x ஆட் பண்ணீங்க, ட்ரையாங்கிள் இன்இக்வாலிட்டி அப்ளை பண்ணீங்கன்னா this is less than epsilon by 2 னு தெரியும். What about this one? This is also less than epsilon by 2. So the difference பாத்தீங்கன்னா is always h. இந்த ரெண்டுத்துக்கும் உள்ள difference வந்து is always h. So whenever mod h less than delta, the difference is less than epsilon by 2. So இதுவும் less than epsilon by 2, total less than epsilon. So a true இருக்கும் பட்சத்துல obviously b is true. Okay, the second part பாத்தீங்கன்னா b is not implies the a. அதுக்கு ஒரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் கேக்குறாங்க. When you consider the function f of x equal to 1, x is rational, 0 if x is irrational. So x equal to 0 னு எடுத்தீங்கன்னா what is that, f of h minus f of minus h. Am I correct? So then this is equal to what is the function, f of h minus f of minus h ன்றது. So when you take x equal to 0, x rational அந்த 1, suppose both h and minus h ன்றது rational இருக்கலாம், both h and minus h ன்றது irrational இருக்கலாம், h rational minus h ன்றது irrational இருக்கலாம், h irrational and minus h ன்றது rational இருக்கலாம். So these are possibilities, so these are values. So if h is rational na, then minus h is also rational இல்லையா. So h is irrational na, then minus h is also irrational. So the last two cases never occur. Therefore the f of x equal to defined as எது define ஆகும், that is the first trend. Okay, so that is the 0, the function f of h minus f of minus h ன்றது 0 னு வருது. So the example is wrong. Therefore the f of x equal to 0 for x less than equal to 0, x greater than 0 na, when you take x equal to 0, limit h tends 0 f of h minus f of 0. So then limit h tends 0 f of h ன்றது so doesn't exist. Therefore since the right hand side limit is 1, limit h tends 0 f of h minus f of 0 போடும்போது f of 0 ன்றது is always 0. So limit h tends 0 f of h னு வரும். So the f of h ன்றது is limit is 1, the left hand limit is 0. Okay, so இதுக்கு limit கண்டுபிடிச்சிங்கன்னா that is 0 minus ன்றது 0, 0 plus ன்றது 1. So 0 minus 0, 0 plus 1 ன்றதுனால that is not continuous at the point 0. Limit not exist at the point 0, limit not exist at the point 0. So the f of h minus f of minus h இதில் கண்டுபிடி for b க்கு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா f of h minus f of minus h that is equal to 0. So if h is greater than 0 now the value is 1, h is less than 0 now minus 1. So the difference is modulus value is always 1, so b doesn't hold. Okay. So try another example. B true, in this case A fails, B true. This example x is not equal to 0 and 1 என்றது if x equal to 0 now. Then limit h tends 0 f of h minus f of 0, then f of h என்றது h tends 0 now and f of 0 என்றது 1. So that is mod of h minus 1. As h tends 0 the value is 1. Not equal to 0, that is a fails, and f of h minus f of minus h for the b பார்த்தீங்கன்னா h plus h 2h that is approaches to 0, that is b is true. So b holds and a doesn't hold. And f is defined on R2 no, that limit x comma y approaches to a comma b and f of x comma y equal to L. So if the one dimensional limit பார்த்தீங்கன்னா limit x tends to a f of x comma y equal to limit y tends to b f of x comma y both exist. Then limit x tends to a and limit y tends to b f of x comma y equal to limit y tends to b limit x tends to a f of x comma y equal to L. Okay. That is, consider the function f defined on R2 as follows. In each example, determine whether the following limit is exist and evaluate those limit do exist. The something limit x tends 0, limit y tends 0, f of x comma y, limit y tends 0, limit x tends 0, f of x comma y. That means limit x comma y approaches to 0 comma 0, f of x comma y. For the first example, f of x comma y equal to x square minus y square divided by x square plus y square. If x comma y approaches to doesn't approaches to 0, f of 0 comma 0 equal to 0. So the limit y tends 0, f of x comma y என்றது என்ன வரும்? Limit y tends 0, f of x comma y என்றது, this is the function. Actually f of x comma y என்றது like this defined பண்ணிருக்காங்க. X square minus y square divided by x square plus y square and x comma y என்றது is not equal to 0 comma 0 and 0 for x comma y equal to 0 comma 0 the two dimensional space la. So இதில் y is approaches to 0 நாம் எடுக்கும் பொழுது f of x comma y க்கு x square by x square வந்துரும், the value is 1 வந்துரும். For the x is not equal to 0, y is approaches to 0. அதே x tends to 0 இப்போ எடுத்தீங்கன்னா இதில் அஃபெக்ட் ஆகாது, ஏன்னா ஆல்ரெடி 1 வந்துருச்சு. ஸோ இதனுடைய வேல்யூ 1ன்றதுனால லிமிட் x tends 0 1ன்றது that is equal to 1. இதே மாதிரி தான் இந்த பேக்கில் பண்ண போகிறது. லிமிட் x tends 0 f of x comma yன்றது லிமிட் x tends 0 f of x comma y that is minus y square by minus 1 வந்துடும். For y is not equal to 0. Limit y tends 0 limit x tends 0 f of x comma yன்றது that is called the continued limit. Limit y tends 0 இதனுடைய வேல்யூ வந்து minus 1, so minus 1 வந்துடும். இப்போ லிமிட் x comma y approaches to 0 comma 0, x comma y என்றது approaches to 0 comma 0 னா then what about the natural? ரெண்டுமே டிஃப்ரெண்ட்டாக இருக்கு, ரெண்டு லிமிட்டும் டிஃப்ரெண்ட்டாக இருக்கு. ஸோ the limit x comma y 0 comma 0 f of x comma y does not exist, that is does not exist along the x equal to 0 f of 0 comma y equal to minus 1 and along y equal to 0 the f of x comma 0 equal to 1, so therefore limit does not exist. And another example, that is limit x y tends 0 the same way இது இன்னொரு ஃபங்க்ஷன் இது xy whole square divided by xy whole square minus x minus y whole square. So இதில் limit x tends 0 limit y tends 0 கண்டுபிடிக்கணும் 0 and limit y tends 0 limit x tends 0 0, both are exist, both are equal. So along y equal to x, that is the same way, along the y equal to x எடுத்தீங்கன்னா that is f of x comma x என்றது y equal to x எடுத்துக்கணும், that is passing through the origin in the two dimensional space la, not only 0 comma 0, that is along the line y equal to x என்றது passing through the origin. Okay, origin வழியா pass ஆகிற ஒரு line. So along the line, அதனால y equal to x எடுக்கும்போது f of x comma x என்றது 1 வருது, and along the y equal to 2x எடுக்கும்போது the values approaches to 0. So y equal to 2x is also passing through the origin. That is called y equal to 2x. I thought this is 2x, this is y equal to x, like that. So in the ரெண்டு லைன்லையுமே ரெண்டு different limit வருது. So the limit x comma y approaches to 0 comma 0, the limit வந்து does not exist. And f of x comma y equal to 1 by x sin of xy. So if x is not equal to 0, if x is not equal to 0, this is the function, and f of 0 comma y equal to y, f of 0 comma y equal to y. So for x is not equal to 0, limit y tends 0 கண்டுபிடிச்சிங்கன்னா the value is 0. Limit x tends 0, y tends 0 என்றது 0 வந்துருது. Limit x tends 0 கண்டுபிடிச்சிங்கன்னா as x tends 0 sin of xy divided by x என்றது, that is called என்ன பண்ணணும் sin theta by theta, value is 1. So like that sin xy, okay, xy into y ன்னு போட்டிங்கன்னா the value is 1 ஆயிடும், y மட்டும் அப்படியே வரும். x tends 0ன்றது value வந்து 1 ஆயிடும், so y அப்படியே வந்துடும். இதில் y tends 0 போட்டிங்கன்னா இதுவும் 0. இங்கே லிமிட் எக்ஸிஸ்ட் ஆகுமா பார்த்தீங்கன்னா f of any function passing through origin, that is always 0. Okay, so for that f of r theta, r cos theta, r sin theta நீங்கள் எடுத்தீங்கன்னா that is r sin of r square cos theta sin theta, that is divided by r cos theta, that is limit r tends 0, that is approaches to 0. Okay, so the limit x comma y approaches to 0 comma 0, f of x comma y is always 0. Okay, and this is another example. This is limit x tends 0 doesn't exist. Limit y tends 0, f of x does not exist because of sin of 1 by y oscillate என்றதுனால. இதே மாதிரி this is also doesn't exist. But what about the limit x comma y is approaches to 0 comma 0, that is mod of x comma y is less than or equal to x plus y. This is modulus எடுத்தீங்கன்னா this is the sin of 1 by x, sin of 1 by y. So the modulus of f of x plus x comma y is always mod of x plus y. That is because of sin is bounded by 1, அதனால mod of x plus y. That is mod of x plus y is approaches to 0, both are approaches to 0. So this is limit x comma y approaches to 0 comma 0 na f of x comma y approaches to 0. But the separator பார்த்தீங்கன்னா that is a continuous limit, that is limit x tends 0, y tends 0 பார்த்தீங்கன்னா does not exist. f of x comma y என்றது sin x minus sin y. So this is the function tan x equal to tan y க்கு cos cube x. So இதை sin c minus sin d formula, and then இதை trigonometric function sin by cos மாத்திட்டு சிம்பிளி பண்ணீங்கன்னா like this, f of x comma y trigonometric formula apply பண்ணிட்டோம், and f of x comma y equal to இப்படி கிடைக்கும் உங்களுக்கு சிம்பிளி பண்ணும் பொழுது. இதில் y tends 0, limit x tends 0 பார்த்தீங்கன்னா that is the 1. இந்த வேல்யூ பார்த்தீங்கன்னா this is also 1. இங்கே limit x, y both are approaches to 0 ன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா that is f of x, y equal to இதுதான் simplified version. இதில் both are approaches to 0, x tends 0, y tends 0 னா that is value is 1. என்ன வரும்? வேல்யூ வந்து 1 வரும். எல்லாமே காஸ்ட்டில் இருக்குது. ஸோ the value is 1. Both are approaches to 0 now at the same time. And x belongs to 0, 1 and prove that the limit is exist. Limit m tends infinity, limit n tends infinity, cos power 2n m factorial pi x. Its value is 0 or 1 according to the whether the x is irrational or rational. So இங்கே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா am equal to cos power 2n m factorial pi x. am equal to give the name, that is the cos power 2n theta. For fixed theta, mod of cos theta is always less than 1. So mod of cos theta is less than 1 means so cos power 2n theta is approaches to 0 as n tends infinity. Mod of cos theta equal to 1 now, that is this is equal to 1. So cos m factorial pi x என்றது that is plus or minus 1. If and only if m factorial pi x என்றது k pi இருந்ததுனா, okay, that is for some integer k. So m factorial x என்றது is equal to k, that is integer இருந்ததுனா the value is plus or minus 1. So x is rational நீங்கள் எடுத்தீங்கன்னா x is rational, x equal to p by q, that is the lowest term. So m is greater than equal to q m factorial. m is greater than equal to q m factorial. So that is contained, the m factorial contains the q as the factor. m is greater than equal to q now, the m factorial contains the q as the factor. So m factorial x என்றது m factorial p by q is an integer. So cos of m factorial pi x என்றது cos k pi, that is equal to plus or minus 1. So am equal to 1 enough for all m greater than equal to q, limit n tends infinity am equal to 1 ன்னு வந்துரும். In the case of x is irrational na, the m factorial x என்றது is never an integer. Integer இருக்காது. So therefore cos mod of cos m factorial pi x என்றது less than 1 தெரியும் for all m. So am equal to 0 for all m, therefore limit of the am equal to 0. The both case x is rational, x is irrational now, that is value is 0 and 1 ன்னு அர்த்தம். That name is iterator limit. இந்த தனித்தனியாக கண்டுபிடிக்கிறதுக்கு பேர் iterator limit. Okay. And fbx continues on a comma b, and f of x equal to 0 and x is rational, f of x equal to 0 for every x in a comma b, closed interval a comma b. And the fb continues in at the point a equal to n tuples point at some point, and the a1, a2, a3, an fixed, define a new function g of one variable by the equation g of x equal to f of x comma a2 comma an. Then g is continuous at the point x equal to a1. G is continuous at the point x equal to a1. And the example show by an example, the converse of the statement is not true in general. So that is the example, that is f from r2 to r, that is the example xy by x square plus y square. So for the y, fix y equal to 0 na, g of x equal to f of x comma 0 இல்லையா, g of x equal to f of x comma 0, that is equal to 0. f of x comma 0 is 0, I mean correct for all x, which is continuous at x equal to 0, no problem. And fix x equal to 0 ன்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா h of y equal to f of 0 comma y ன்னு வரும், அதுவும் 0, which is continuous at y equal to 0. So f is continuous in each variable separately by at 0 comma 0. Okay, so the f is not continuous at the point 0 comma 0 because of the along the line y equal to x எடுத்தீங்கன்னா, okay, at the point origin நம்ம செக் பண்ணா y equal to x, y equal to 2x and 0 comma 0, like that. So f of x comma x எடுக்கும்போது the value is 1 by 2 வருது. 1 by 2 doesn't approaches to 0. So இது 0 அப்ரோச் பண்ணாது because of f of 0 comma 0 0 அதனால that is another separately continuous in each variable doesn't imply that joint continuous. Okay. F, G and H be defined on 0, 1 as follows. F of x equal to g of x equal to h of x equal to 0 whenever x is irrational. F of x equal to 1 and g of x equal to x whenever x is rational, and h of x equal to 1 by n, x is rational number m by n, and h of 0 equal to 1. These are function f, g, h. So then f is not continuous anywhere in 0, 1. G is continuous only at x equal to 0, and h is continuous only at the irrational points in 0, 1. Okay, very difficult. I thought x naught under the 0, 1 is any arbitrary point now. X naught under the rational now, that is 0, 1 la rational irrational, so that f of x naught equal to 1. So there exists the sequence of irrational number Rn that is approaches to x naught with f of Rn equal to 0. F of Rn equal to 0, that is doesn't converges to 1. The same way x naught is rational, f of x naught equal to 0. So by the definitions, by density of the rational, there exists some sequence of rational number in between that is approaches to x naught, f of qn equal to 1, that is approaches to doesn't approaches to 0. So f is discontinuous everywhere, that is okay. And for g at x equal to 0 for a sequence xn for any sequence xn is approaches to 0. So if xn is rational now, g of xn equal to xn, that is approaches to 0. And for if xn is irrational now, g of xn equal to 0 approaches to 0. So continues at x equal to 0. And x naught not equal to 0 na, x naught rational, the g of x naught equal to x naught, that is the irrational sequence that is approaches to x naught. G of Rn is approaches to g of Rn 0, that is irrational number that is not approaches to x naught. So discontinuous the same way for the x naught irrational. So discontinuous at all x is not equal to 0, this is discontinuous. So the same way for the h at irrational x naught, okay, but irrational x naught, that is limit x tends to x naught, h of x equal to 0 and so. Okay, that is given epsilon, there exists the finitely many rationals m by n with 1 by n greater than or equal to epsilon. So find the delta greater than 0, that is contains none of the rational numbers. So then but x naught is irrational. So then for all x, mod of x minus x naught less than delta, if x is rational, then h of x equal to 0, x is rational and m by n, that is rational m by n, so 1 by n less than epsilon, so mod of h of x less than epsilon. In the case of rational, h of x naught equal to 1 by n. By density of the irrational, that is there exists some irrational sequence, h of Rn doesn't approaches to 1 by n, that is unless n is approaches to infinity. So the discontinuous at all rationals. Okay. So therefore at x equal to 0, h of 0 equal to 1. So but there exists the irrational sequence that is approaches to 0 with h of x approaches to 0, then which is not approaches to 1 because of for the irrational, that is approaches to 1. So that is discontinuous at the point 0. So h is continuous only at the irrational points. Okay. This is the other function for each x in 0, 1, and f of x equal to x, x is rational, f of x equal to 1 minus x, x is irrational, then f of x, Okay, that is the function f of x equal to x, x into the rational, and 1 minus x, x into the irrational. So f of x equal to x for all x in 0 comma 1, f of x plus f of 1 minus x equal to 1 for all x in 0 comma 1. F is continuous only at the point x equal to 1 by 2. F assumes every value between the 0 and 1. F of x plus y minus f of x minus f of y rational for all x and y in 0 comma 1. So first of all, case 1 la pathina, that is in the case of rational f of x equal to x and solano. So in the case of rational f of x equal to x. F of x என்ன வரும்? F of x equal to x, that is called f of x னு வரும். F of x equal to f of x உள்ள x போட்ட f of x. So f of x equal to என்னது x திருப்பியும். So we get the result. The case of irrational f of x ன்றது 1 minus x னு வரும். So 1 minus x ன்றது x ன்றது irrational. What about the 1 minus x? 1 minus x is also 1 minus x ன்றது rational irrational. So x ன்றது irrational இருக்கு. So that is 1 minus x ன்றது should be irrational. I thought not rational. So this is the only irrational 1 minus x ன்றது. X ன்றது irrational இருக்கும்போது 1 minus x ன்றது irrational. அப்படினா f of x நீ கண்டுபிடிச்சீங்க. f of 1 minus x ன்றது irrational கண்டுபிடிக்கணும். Irrational 1 minus x. So 1 minus x, that is equal to x. Okay, just think பண்ணீங்கனாவே enough. Okay, don't need check. So just think பண்ணீங்கனாவே போதும். This is the 1 minus x ன்றது irrational னா 1 minus x ன்றது irrational. So then இதுவும் x வருது, the first part. The second part என்ன prove பண்ணனும்னா f of x plus f of x plus f of 1 minus x equal to 1 ன்னு சொல்லணும். மூணாவது f is continuous only at the point x equal to 1 by 2 ன்னு சொல்லணும். So that f of x plus f of 1 minus x என்ன வரும்? 1 minus x ன்றது x ன்றது rational எடுத்தா 1 minus x ன்றது என்னவா இருக்கலாம்? rational இருக்கலாம். 1 minus x ன்றது rational. So f of x plus f of 1 minus x. So f of x ன்றது rational னா x. அப்படினா f of 1 minus x 1 minus x தான். ஏனா f of x equal to x ன்றது rationalன்றதனால so f of 1 minus x 1 minus x தான். So இத சிம்பிளி பண்ணீங்கனா 1 ன்னு வந்துரும். x ன்றது irrational எடுத்தீங்கனா 1 minus x is also irrational. ரெண்டுத்தையும் ஆட் பண்ணீங்கன்னா that is 1 minus of minus x. so இதுவும் 1 ன்னு வருது. so ரெண்டுத்துக்குமே வந்து equal to f of x plus f of 1 minus x equal to 1. next பார்த்தீங்கன்னா at x equal to 1 by 2 ல the continuity check பண்ணணும். so that is xn equal to any sequence at x equal to 1 by 2 ல what is the f of 1 by 2? 1 by 2 னா என்ன? that is called the rational. 1 by 2 ன்றது rational. so f of 1 by 2 equal to 1 by 2. Any sequence xn is approaches to 1 by 2. So xn is rational. f of xn equal to xn that is approaches to 1 by 2. xn is irrational, that is f of xn 1 minus xn. So 1 minus 1 by 2, that is also 1 by 2. So f is a continuous at 1 by 2. f is continuous at 1 by 2. The sequence. So xn is x not equal to 1 by 2. x naught is rational. Taking irrational sequence that is approaches to x naught. So f of xn equal to 1 minus xn, that is the not converges to 1 minus x naught. This is not approaches to x naught. And x naught is irrational now. Take a rational sequence that is approaches to x naught. f of xn equal to xn, that is approaches to x naught. That is not approaches to 1 minus x naught. So x equal to 1 by 2 தவிர வேற எங்கேயுமே this is continuity இருக்காது, that is discontinuous அர்த்தம். and y belongs to 0 comma 1, that is x, we want x such that f of x equal to y. So that means y is rational now, that is y is rational means that is f of x equal to x equal to y, that is x equal to y is rational. Okay, that is then f of x equal to y in வந்துரும். Y is irrational na x equal to என்ன ஆகும், that is 1 minus y in வந்துரும், that is f of x equal to 1 minus x. So f of x equal to 1 minus x என்றது 1 minus of 1 minus y, that is equal to y in வந்துரும். So f is surjective on to 0, 1. So when you choose any other point in 0, 1, there x is the corresponding value in the domain. Okay, f of x என்றது exist ஆகுது. So consider the expression e equal to f of x plus y minus f of x minus f of y. x, y என்றது both are rational இருந்ததுனா x plus y என்றது rational. So e equal to 0 னு வந்துரும், that is the rational. x, y both are irrational இருந்ததுனா x plus y என்றது irrational. Okay, no need, it's x plus y என்றது rational இருக்குமா, that is both are irrational இருந்தா இருக்கலாம். Okay, so x plus y could be rational or irrational. So 1 plus root 2, 1 minus root 2 ரெண்டுத்தையும் ஆட் பண்ணீங்கன்னா 2 ன்றது rational. So x plus y ன்றது rational வரலாம். So rational na that is equal to 1 plus x plus y, 1 minus x, 1 minus y. So then we get the result something. And x plus y is irrational na, that is called the e equal to 1 minus of x plus y, 1 minus x, 1 minus y. So then we get this one, that is equal to minus 1, that is called the rational. So if x is rational and y is irrational na, x plus y என்றது x rational, y என்றது irrational, x plus y irrational. Okay, well, the sum of the rational and irrational should be irrational. So e equal to, that is the simply பண்ணீங்க 1 minus of x plus y, x minus, okay, 1 minus y, ஏன்னா y என்றது தான் irrational, x என்றது rational, அதனால இங்க x, இங்க 1 minus y. So இதை simply பண்ணீங்கன்னா minus 2x என்றது வருது. 2x என்றது minus 2x is rational because of x is rational என்றதுனால. X is rational, y is rational, that is the same way case 3, that is we get the minus 2y, that is called the rational. So e always rational, e என்றது always rational, that is the idea. And f defined on R, and assume that there exists at least one point x naught in R at which f is continuous. At which f is continuous. Therefore, for every x and y in R, f satisfy the equation f of x plus y equal to f of x plus f of y. I thought this is Jensen's equation. There exists a constant a such that f of x equal to ax for all x. So இங்க என்ன கொடுத்திருக்காங்க, f என்றது there exists at least one point in R, அந்த ஒரு பாயிண்ட்லயாவது function is continuous இருக்கணும். And suppose also that for every x and y in R, f satisfy the equation the something. Okay, so we want try to find out that there exists some constant a, f of x equal to ax for all x. So இங்க f of 0 find up பண்றோம், that is equal to f of 0 equal to 0, that f of nx for n greater than 0, n into f of x னு எழுதலாம், f of x plus x என்றது. So n less than 0 க்கு find up பண்ணீங்கன்னா that is implies f of nx equal to n into f of x. So f of nx equal to n f of x is always. So for all integer, for rational r equal to m by n, you can try to find out the something. So this is always true. Okay, and f is continuous on a comma b, and g as follows: g of a equal to f of a less than x less than or equal to b. G of x is the maximum value, be the maximum value of f in the subinterval a comma x. Then g is continuous on a comma b. Then g is continuous on a comma b. So f is continuous on compact set a comma x, and okay. ஸோ எஃப்ன்றது கண்டினியூஸ்னு கொடுத்துருக்காங்க அந்த க்ளோஸ்டு அண்ட் பவுண்ட் இன்டர்வல் ஏ கமா பி. ஜின்றது ஜி ஆஃப் ஏ ஈக்குவல் டு எஃப் ஆஃப் ஏ எப்போனா ஏ லெஸ் தென் எக்ஸ் லெஸ் தென் ஈக்குவல் டு பியில். அண்ட் that is the definition. And g of a equal to f of a. Okay. G of x be maximum value of f in the subinterval a comma x and show that g is continuous on a comma b and so on. Okay. So f is continuous on the component interval a comma x. So maximum exists x is belongs to a comma b. G of x equal to f of t. X is t is belongs to a comma x. So right continuity and left continuity, so both are check பண்ணலாம். So g is continuous னு வரும். Okay. And f1 f2 fm ன்றது is the m real valued function defined on a set s in r power n and assume that fi is continuous at point a belongs to s and a new function f as follows. How to define? Now for each x in s, f of x is the largest of the m numbers, f1 of x and fm of x. Discuss the continuity of f at a. f under the continuous at a, one check. Epsilon greater than 0, fi is continuous at a in each fi. By the definition, there exists some delta I greater than 0 and mod of x minus a, that is less than delta, fi of x minus fi of a less than delta. Del equal to minimum of delta 1, delta 2, delta 3 னு எடுத்தீங்கன்னா இங்கே delta I வச்சுருக்கோம். So this is true னு தெரியும். So f of x equal to fk of x னு எடுத்தீங்கன்னா for some k, f of a equal to fj of a for some j. So f of x minus f of a find out பண்ணுறோம், f of a minus f of x. So modulus of f of x minus f of a ன்றது less than epsilon வந்துரும். Okay. And this is this f is function from s to r be continues on an open set s in r power n. Assume that p is belongs to s and assume that f of p greater than 0. So there is an n ball b of p over r such that f of x greater than 0 for every x in the ball. Okay. So there is an n ball b of p over r such that f of x ன்றது greater than 0 for every x in the ball. And f is defined on and continues on the closed set s in r. Defined and continues on the closed set s in r. Let a equal to x such that x belongs to s, f of x equal to 0 and a is a closed subset of r. A is a closed subset of r. A என்றது the collection of x, the f of x equal to 0. X is belongs to s and the f of x இதெல்லாம் 0க்கு f of x லாம் 0 இருக்கும், that is the collection, that is called the A. Then that type of A is closed subset of R. In the case of the function is defined and continues on the closed set S. And also this is the function from R to R. Define the two set, ரெண்டு set A, B ன்றது in R2 as follows. A equal to the collection of x comma y. What are the condition of y less than f of x? Y greater than f of x, then f collection of x comma y is called the B. F ன்றது continues on R இருந்தா A and B both are open subset of R2. A and B both are open subset of R2. So the continuous na enna definition theriyum, that is the y naught is less than f of x naught, rendu condition y naught less than f of x naught. So epsilon equal to f of x naught minus f of y naught, that is epsilon greater than 0. There exists some delta, this is the condition. Okay, so x comma y, then for x comma y, x minus x naught less than delta, y minus y naught less than epsilon. So y less than something prove பண்ணலாம். Okay. So therefore from this what is the conclusion அப்படின்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, so x comma y belongs to A and so if x comma y belongs to A, so that means A is open. The same way we can prove the B is open. Okay. So f is defined and bounded f be defined and bounded and a compact interval S in R. If T is the subset of S, the number tau f of t, supremum of f of x minus f of y, x belongs to t, y belongs to t, okay, is called the oscillation of f on t. This is the number, the tau f of t is defined as supremum of f of x minus f of y, x is belongs to t, y is belongs to t, is called the oscillation of f on t. If x is belongs to s, the oscillation of f at x is defined as like this. Then the limit is always exist, that is omega f of x equal to 0 if and only if f is continuous at x, okay. And the same way f be continues on the compact interval a comma b. Suppose that f has the local minimum at x1, local maximum at x2. There must be third point x1 and x2, between x1 and x2. The f has the local minimum at the third point between x1 and x2. So that is the function is continuous on the compact interval. The function has the local minimum at the some point, local maximum at the some point. The ரெண்டு பாயிண்ட்டுக்கும் இடையில ஒரு பாயிண்ட்ல the function has the local minimum, okay. And this is the continuous on the 0 comma 1, and for every real y either there is no x in 0 comma 1 such that f of x equal to y, or there is exactly one such x, that is f of x equal to y. அப்படி இருந்ததுன்னா then f is strictly monotonic on 0 comma 1, f is strictly monotonic on 0 comma 1. And f be continuous defined on 0 comma 1 with the following property: every number y either there is no x in 0 comma 1 f of x equal to y, or there are exactly two values of x in 0 comma 1 for which f of x equal to y. So then முன்னாடி வந்து ஒரே ஒரு value, that is two values. So f cannot be continuous on 0 comma 1, and function which is above the property and construct the function, and any function with this property has infinitely many discontinuities on 0 comma 1. The function எப்படி construct பண்ணலாம்னா, that is like that f on 0 comma 1 as follows: x belongs to 0 comma 1 by 2, let f of x equal to x. For x belongs to 1 by 2 comma 1, that is f of x equal to 1 minus x, like that construct பண்ணலாம். Like this. So this is the correct construct, okay. And in each case give an example of the function f continues on s and such that f of s equal to t, y there can be no such f, that is s equal to 0 comma 1 open interval, t into semi open interval 0 comma 1. One construct that define so each and every case we want to give the example for the function f. The function வந்து continues on s ஆ இருக்கணும் such that f of s equal to t ஆ இருக்கணும். So that is f of x equal to, the first one பார்த்தீங்கன்னா f of x equal to 1 minus x, that is defined axis belongs to 0 comma 1 by 2, f of x equal to 2x minus 1, that is axis belongs to 1 by 2 comma 1. So when you try to find out the f of x sine square pi x by 2 for the maps 0 comma 1 onto 0 comma 1 onto 0 comma 1. Okay. F from S to T, f from S to T is defined as f of x equal to C for all x belongs to S, C belongs to T is fixed, then f is continuous on S, f is continuous on S, and identity function is defined is continuous on S. These are some example for the continuous function on the metric space. This is the function f from R to R, defined f of x equal to 1, x is rational and x is irrational, that is 0. The function is discontinuous at every point p belongs to R. So if you, for any p belongs to R, we can find the sequence of rational numbers Rn, the sequence of irrational number Sn, both converges to p. So f of Rn equal to 1, that is approaches to 1, f of Sn equal to 0, that is converges to 0. So this limit are different, so f is not continuous at p. Okay. So that is ball formulation, the function open ball, some open ball in the image space or open ball, that is corresponding contained in the open ball f of p something, then the function is continuous. Okay, there exists some ball, the ball concept. So this is the f of bs of p comma delta. Okay, this is completely contained in bt of f of p comma epsilon. Okay, this is also ball formulation. I'll stop here.